Right now, as you're watching this, something extraordinary is unfolding in the invisible architecture of your life. There's a cosmic mechanism that's been quietly tracking every effort you've made, every skill you've developed in private, every moment you chose integrity over shortcuts, every time you kept going when no one was watching. And on March 16, that mechanism reaches a critical threshold. Your hidden value, the worth you've been building beneath the surface of visibility, is about to become undeniably visible to the world around you. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't generic motivation. What's happening on March 16 is a specific astrological convergence that occurs when the universe's accounting system completes a cycle of recognition. Think of it like this. You've been depositing value into an invisible bank account for months, maybe years. Skills you've mastered, problems you've solved, growth you've achieved, wisdom you've earned through experience. All of it has been accumulating, compounding, building interest in a realm that exists beyond immediate visibility. Most people give up right before this moment arrives. They look at their bank account, see the same numbers, and conclude that their efforts don't matter. They watch others receive recognition and wonder why their turn never comes. They feel the weight of being undervalued, overlooked, underpaid for what they actually bring to the table. And in that moment of doubt, they stop right before the cosmic tipping point. But you're still here. You're still building. You're still showing up. And that persistence is about to pay off in ways that will shock you. Before we go deeper, I need you to do something that will activate this energy in your life. Comment below and write the words "I'm ready." Not because it's a magic spell, but because declaring readiness aligns your consciousness with the frequency of receiving. The universe responds to those who announce their willingness to step into the next level. So pause right now, scroll down, and type those 2 words. Then come back and let's continue. March 16 is not a random date I pulled from thin air. In the cosmic calendar, this day represents a convergence point where multiple astrological forces align to create what I call a value visualization portal. Let me break down what's actually happening in the sky and why it matters for your priority. On this day, Venus, the planet that governs value, worth, and material resources, forms a powerful aspect with Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance. But here's what makes this particular alignment so potent. It's happening while Mercury, the planet of communication and commerce, stations direct after a retrograde period. When Mercury goes direct, it's like the universe's communication channels suddenly clear. Information that was stuck begins flowing. Deals that were delayed suddenly move forward. Recognition that was blocked finally breaks through. Think of Mercury retrograde as a period when the universe was reviewing your work, auditing your value, checking the receipts of everything you've been building. And now, as Mercury stations direct on March 16, that review period ends and the results get published. The cosmic accountants have finished their assessment, and they're about to release your evaluation to the world. But there's another layer to this that most astrologers miss. March 16 also marks a specific lunar phase where the moon is waxing toward fullness in a sign that amplifies visibility and public recognition. The moon governs the emotional and subconscious realm, the invisible currents that influence how people perceive value. When the moon is in this particular phase and position, it acts like a cosmic spotlight, illuminating what was previously hidden in shadow. Your skills, your talents, your unique contributions have been developing in the dark, not because they weren't valuable, but because they needed time to mature, to deepen, to become undeniable. And now the spotlight is swinging in your direction. I want to share something that happened to one of my clients last year during a similar cosmic alignment. Her name is Rachel, and she'd been working as a freelance designer for 3 years. Good work, solid clients, but nothing extraordinary. She was making enough to get by, but she felt stuck at a certain income ceiling. No matter how hard she worked, She couldn't seem to break through to the next level. Then, during a Venus-Jupiter alignment similar to what's happening on March 16, something shifted. A client she'd worked with 6 months earlier suddenly reached out. They'd been showing her portfolio to other companies, and now 3 different organizations wanted to hire her for major projects. Within 2 weeks, her income tripled. Not because she suddenly became more talented, not because she changed her marketing strategy, but because the universe's timing mechanism finally aligned with the value she'd been building all along. Rachel told me something I'll never forget. She said, "It felt like I'd been pushing against a locked door for years, and suddenly someone on the other side just opened it. All that effort I thought was wasted. It was actually building pressure. And when the door opened, everything rushed through at once." That's what March 16 represents. The door opening, the pressure releasing, the hidden becoming visible. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but I've heard this before. I've been told my breakthrough is coming, and it never does. And I understand that skepticism. You've been disappointed before. You've gotten your hopes up and watched them crash down. So let me be very clear about something. This isn't about hoping for a miracle. This is about recognizing that value operates onto timelines. There's the immediate timeline, where you do work and expect instant payment, instant recognition, instant results. And then there's the cosmic timeline, where value accumulates in the invisible realm until it reaches a critical mass that can no longer be ignored. Most people only pay attention to the immediate timeline. They check their bank account every day and feel discouraged when the numbers don't change fast enough. They post their work online and feel defeated when it doesn't go viral immediately. They apply for opportunities and internalize rejection as proof that they're not good enough. But the cosmic timeline operates differently. It's tracking something deeper than surface-level metrics. It's measuring the quality of your character, the depth of your skills, the authenticity of your contribution. And when those measurements reach a certain threshold, the universe triggers what I call a value cascade, a sudden rush of recognition and reward that seems to come out of nowhere, but was actually building all along. March 16 is when many of you will experience that cascade. Here's what you need to understand about how hidden value becomes visible. In the material world, we're taught that value is determined by external validation. You're valuable if someone pays you. You're talented if someone recognizes you. You're successful if someone gives you a platform. But that's a backwards understanding of how value actually works. True value exists independent of recognition. A diamond doesn't become valuable when someone discovers it. It was always valuable. The discovery just makes that value visible and accessible. You are the diamond. Your skills, your wisdom, your unique perspective. These things have intrinsic worth that exists whether or not anyone has acknowledged them yet. What's been happening in your life up until now is that you've been forming, crystallizing, becoming the diamond. The pressure you felt, the challenges you faced, the moments when you wanted to give up but didn't. All of that was the universe supplying the exact conditions needed to transform you into something rare and valuable. And now, on March 16, the cosmic miners are about to stumble upon where you've been buried. They're about to dig you up, hold you to the light, and realize what they've found. But here's the critical part that most people miss. The universe doesn't just hand you recognition and reward randomly. It waits for you to be ready to receive it. And being ready doesn't mean being perfect. It means being aligned. It means your internal sense of worth matches the external value you're about to receive. This is where so many people sabotage their own breakthrough. They've been undervalued for so long that they've internalized that undervaluation. They've started to believe the story that they're not good enough, not experienced enough, not connected enough. And when the opportunity for recognition finally arrives, they unconsciously reject it because it doesn't match their internal self-image. I've seen this happen countless times. Someone gets offered a major opportunity, a high-paying client, a platform to showcase their work. And instead of saying yes with confidence, they hesitate. They think, why would they want me? There must be someone better. I'm not ready for this. And in that moment of self-doubt, they either turn down the opportunity or accept it with such low energy that it falls apart. The universe is preparing to hand you something big on March 16, but you have to be ready to receive it. And being ready means doing the internal work now, before the opportunity arrives, to align your self-perception with your actual value. Let me give you a practical example of what this looks like. Imagine you've been working in your field for 5 years. You've developed real expertise. You've solved complex problems. You've created results that others couldn't achieve. But you've been working for a company that undervalues you. Or you've been charging rates that don't reflect your skill level. Or you've been hiding your talents because you're afraid of being seen. Your actual value, let's say it's worth $100,000 a year, but you've been receiving $30,000. There's a $70,000 gap between your real worth and your current compensation. That gap has been building pressure in the invisible realm. The universe sees that discrepancy, and it's been working behind the scenes to correct it. On March 16, that correction begins to manifest. Maybe you get headhunted for a position that pays what you're actually worth. Maybe a client reaches out willing to pay premium rates. Maybe an opportunity appears that finally matches your skill level. But here's the test. When that opportunity shows up, will you recognize it as the answer to years of undervaluation? Or will you shrink back and think, this seems too good to be true? The people who successfully receive their cosmic payday are the ones who've been preparing internally. They've been affirming their worth even when external circumstances didn't reflect it. They've been treating themselves like someone valuable even when others treated them as replaceable. They've been investing in their skills, their knowledge, their growth, not because someone was paying them to, but because they knew their value was real regardless of current recognition. If that's you, if you've been doing that internal work, then March 16 is your moment. The universe has been watching. The cosmic accountants have been taking notes. And now it's time for the books to balance. I need to continue the YouTube script from where the first round ended, writing the middle third that naturally flows from the existing content while introducing 23 new core arguments with detailed examples and stories. Let me analyze the existing content tone and structure. Conversational. Direct address to view, a mix of cosmic astral explanation with practical life application, uses specific examples, builds urgency around March 16, focuses on hidden value becoming visible, emphasizes internal readiness to receive. I'll continue from the ending point about cosmic accountants and books balance and books balancing, introducing new dimensions while maintaining the established voice. There's something else happening on March 16 that I need to explain because it directly affects how quickly you'll see results. When Venus and Jupiter align in this particular way, they don't just open doors. They create what I call recognition cascade. This is when one person seeing your value triggers a chain reaction where suddenly multiple people see it at once. You know how sometimes you can go months without any opportunities, and then suddenly 3 offers come in the same week. That's not coincidence. That's the recognition cascade in action. It happens because value perception in the human world operates on a herd mentality principle. When one authority figure or influential person recognizes your worth, others suddenly feel safe to acknowledge it too. It's like everyone was waiting for someone else to go first. I saw this play out dramatically with a writer I know named Marcus. He'd been pitching articles to major publications for 2 years. Rejection after rejection. His writing was excellent, but he couldn't break through. Then one editor at a mid-tier publication finally said yes. That single article got shared by someone with a large following. Within 3 days, Marcus had 5 different publications reaching out to him. Not because his writing suddenly improved, not because he changed his pitch strategy, but because one person's recognition gave others permission to see what had been there all along. The cosmic alignment on March 16 is designed to trigger exactly this kind of cascade in your life. Someone is going to see your value first, and their recognition is going to open the floodgates for others to see it too. Your job is to be ready when that first domino falls, because once it starts, it moves fast. Now let me address something that might be creating resistance in your mind right now. Some of you are thinking, but I'm not special. I don't have unique talents. There are thousands of people who do what I do, probably better than me. And I want to challenge that belief directly because it's the single biggest block preventing you from receiving what's coming. The idea that you need to be the best in the world at something to be valuable is a lie that keeps most people trapped in mediocrity. Here's the truth that the universe operates on. Value isn't about being the best. It's about being the right fit at the right time for the right person. There are millions of talented designers in the world, but Rachel was the right designer for those 3 companies at that specific moment. There are millions of writers, but Marcus was the right writer for those publications when they needed his particular voice. Your value isn't determined by how you compare to everyone else in your field. It's determined by how well you solve a specific problem for a specific person at a specific time. And the cosmic timing mechanism that's activating on March 16 is designed to connect you with the exact people who need what you specifically offer. Think about it this way. Every person on this planet has a unique combination of skills, experiences, perspectives, and timing. No one else has lived your exact life, learned your exact lessons, developed your exact way of seeing problems. That uniqueness isn't a liability. It's your competitive advantage, because somewhere out there, there's a problem that only your specific combination of attributes can solve. And on March 16, the universe is arranging the circumstances to connect you with that problem. But here's where most people mess this up. They try to be everything to everyone. They dilute their uniqueness trying to appeal to the broadest possible audience. They hide the quirky parts of their personality, the unconventional aspects of their approach, the experiences that don't fit the standard narrative. And in doing so, they make themselves generic, forgettable, replaceable. The people who receive massive paydays aren't the ones who play it safe. They're the ones who lean into what makes them different. They're the ones who say, "This is who I am. This is how I work. This is what I believe." And if that's not for you, that's okay, because that level of specificity acts like a beacon. It repels the wrong people and attracts exactly the right ones. I want to share a story about a consultant named David who learned this lesson the hard way. David spent years trying to be a generalist business consultant. He could help with strategy, operations, marketing, finance, whatever the client needed. And he struggled constantly. Low rates, difficult clients, always competing with dozens of other consultants who offered the same generic services. Then something shifted. David realized that his most successful projects all had something in common. They were all companies going through a specific type of transition, moving from founder lead to professionally managed. That was his unique zone of genius because he'd lived through that transition himself as a former founder. So he made a bold decision. He completely repositioned himself as the consultant who only works with companies in that specific situation. His colleagues thought he was crazy. "You're limiting your market," they said. "You're turning away potential clients." But within 6 months, David's income quadrupled. Why? Because instead of being one of 10,000 generic business consultants, he became one of maybe 50 people in the world who specialized in that exact transition. And companies going through that transition were willing to pay premium rates for someone who truly understood their specific challenge. That's what I mean by lean into your uniqueness. David didn't become more talented. He didn't learn new skills. He just stopped hiding what made him different and started positioning it as his primary value. and the market rewarded that specificity with a massive payday. On March 16, the universe is going to present you with opportunities to do the same thing. You're going to be faced with choices. Do you play it safe and try to appeal to everyone? Or do you lean into what makes you specifically valuable to a specific group of people? The cosmic energy of this day favors boldness. It favors specificity. It favors people who are willing to say, "This is my lane, and I'm the best person in the world for people who need exactly this." Now, let's talk about something that might sound counterintuitive, but is absolutely critical to receiving your payday. The universe doesn't reward desperation. It rewards detachment. Let me explain what I mean by that, because this is where a lot of people sabotage themselves right at the finish line. When you're desperate for money, for recognition, for validation, you emit an energy that actually repels opportunities. Desperation makes you grasp, and grasping pushes things away. It makes you accept bad deals because you're afraid nothing better will come. It makes you undervalue yourself because you're just grateful someone is paying attention. It makes you tolerate disrespect because you think you don't have other options. But detachment, true detachment, is different. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about money or success. It means you're not emotionally dependent on any single opportunity. It means you know your value is real whether or not this particular person recognizes it. It means you're willing to walk away from situations that don't honor your worth because you trust that better opportunities are coming. This is the energy that attracts massive paydays. When you're detached, you negotiate from a position of power. You set boundaries. You charge what you're worth. You say no to things that aren't aligned. And paradoxically, that's when the best opportunities show up. Because the universe, and the people in it, can sense when someone knows their value. And that confidence is magnetic. I learned this lesson personally in a painful way. Early in my career, I was desperate for clients. I would say yes to anyone who showed interest, regardless of whether they were a good fit or could actually afford my services. I would lower my rates at the first hint of resistance. I would tolerate disrespectful behavior because I was afraid of losing the opportunity. And you know what happened? I attracted terrible clients who paid poorly, demanded constantly, and left me feeling drained and undervalued. Then I made a decision. I decided that I would rather have no clients than bad clients. I raised my rate significantly. I created clear boundaries about how I work and who I work with. I started saying no to opportunities that didn't feel aligned, even when I needed the money. And within 3 months, everything changed. The quality of clients who reached out improved dramatically. The projects became more interesting. The compensation increased. Not because I became more skilled, but because I started operating from a place of detachment instead of desperation. On March 16, you're going to be tested on this. Opportunities are going to show up, and you're going to have to decide whether to accept them from a place of desperation or detachment. If you accept from desperation, you'll get paid, but it won't be the massive payday you're capable of receiving. If you accept from detachment, from a place of knowing your worth and being willing to wait for the right fit, that's when the universe delivers the big one. Here's another critical piece that most people don't understand about how cosmic paydays work. The money doesn't always show up as money first. Sometimes it shows up as visibility. Sometimes it shows up as a connection. Sometimes it shows up as an opportunity that doesn't pay immediately but positions you for something much bigger down the line. The universe is playing a longer game than your immediate bank account. It's positioning you for sustainable abundance, not just a one-time windfall. So on March 16, when opportunities start appearing, don't just evaluate them based on immediate financial return. Ask yourself, does this opportunity increase my visibility? Does it connect me with influential people? Does it position me as an authority in my field? Does it open doors to bigger things? I know a photographer named Lisa who got offered a project on a day very similar to March 16. The project itself paid modestly. Nothing special. But the client was connected to a major brand. Lisa could have turned it down because the money wasn't impressive. Instead, she recognized it as a positioning opportunity. She did exceptional work on that modest project. The client was so impressed that they recommended her to the major brand. That recommendation led to a contract worth more than she'd made in the previous 2 years combined. The modest project was the universe's way of testing whether Lisa could recognize value beyond immediate payment. She passed the test, and the real payday followed. On March 16, you might face a similar test. An opportunity might appear that doesn't look like much on the surface, but if it increases your visibility, expands your network, or positions you for something bigger, it might be exactly the door you need to walk through. There's also something happening energetically on March 16 that affects how people perceive value. When Mercury stations direct while Venus and Jupiter are aligned, it creates what astrologers call a clarity window. During this window, people who have been confused about what they need suddenly gain clarity. Decision makers who have been stuck suddenly feel ready to move forward. Buyers who have been hesitating suddenly feel confident to invest. This clarity window is why March 16 is such a powerful day for financial breakthroughs. It's not just that your value becomes visible. It's that the people who need what you offer suddenly gain the clarity to recognize it and act on it. Deals that have been stalled for months suddenly close. Clients who have been thinking about it suddenly commit. Opportunities that seemed unlikely suddenly become real. But this clarity window is temporary. It lasts for a specific period around March 16, and then the energy shifts again. This is why timing matters. This is why being ready matters. Because when the window opens, you need to be positioned to take advantage of it. You need to have your offers clear, your value articulated, your energy aligned. Because the people who are going to recognize your worth and pay you accordingly are going to be making decisions quickly during this window. Think of it like this. Imagine there's a spotlight that sweeps across a dark room once a year. When that spotlight hits you, everyone in the room can suddenly see you clearly. But the spotlight keeps moving. If you're not ready when it hits you, if you're hiding in the corner or facing the wrong direction, the moment passes and you have to wait for the next cycle. March 16 is when the spotlight sweeps across your section of the room. The question is, are you going to be standing in a position where people can see your full value when that light hits you? I need to write the final third of this YouTube script, continuing naturally from where round 2 ended, developing 12 final core arguments with depth, and concluding with a powerful summary that gives viewers clear takeaways. The script so far has established March 16 as a cosmic value visualization portal, Venus-Jupiter alignment plus Mercury direct creating recognition cascade stories of Rachel, Marcus, David, Lisa, themes of hidden value, detachment versus desperation, specificity over generality, the clarity window and spotlight metaphor. I'll continue from the spotlight metaphor, introducing final arguments about preparation, receiving energy, and practical next steps, then conclude powerfully. So let me tell you exactly how to position yourself so that when the spotlight hits, you're impossible to miss. This is where most people make a critical error. They think preparation means perfecting their skills, polishing their resume, or creating the perfect portfolio. And while those things matter, they're not what determines whether you receive the payday that's coming on March 16. The real preparation is energetic. It's about clearing the internal blocks that prevent you from receiving. Because here's what I've observed working with hundreds of people through these cosmic cycles. The universe will deliver the opportunity. But if you're not energetically ready to receive it, you'll either not see it when it arrives, or you'll unconsciously sabotage it after it shows up. Let me give you a concrete example of what energetic blocks look like. I worked with a woman named Jennifer who was an incredibly talented graphic designer. Her work was exceptional, truly world-class. But she had a deep-seated belief that she didn't deserve to be paid well for creative work. This belief came from her childhood, where her parents constantly told her that art wasn't a real career and she needed to get a practical job. Even though Jennifer had consciously rejected that belief, it was still operating in her subconscious. And every time a high-paying opportunity came her way, she would find a reason to turn it down or undercharge. She would tell herself stories like, they probably can't really afford my full rate, or I should give them a discount because they're a startup, or I don't want to seem greedy. These weren't conscious decisions. They were automatic responses triggered by that deep belief that she didn't deserve abundant compensation for her gifts. When I pointed this pattern out to her, Jennifer was shocked. She genuinely hadn't realized she was doing it. So we worked on clearing that belief, not through positive thinking or affirmations, but through deep examination of where it came from, unconscious decision to release it. Jennifer had to grieve the fact that her parents' fear-based advice had cost her years of financial abundance. She had to forgive them for not understanding the value of creative work, and she had to make a new decision about what she deserved. 3 weeks later, during a cosmic alignment similar to March 16, Jennifer got approached by a major tech company. They wanted her to redesign their entire brand identity. The budget they offered was more than she'd made in the previous year. And this time, instead of finding reasons to discount her rate or doubt the opportunity, Jennifer said yes with full confidence. She negotiated additional terms that increased the value even more, and she delivered work that led to 3 more referrals at similar rates. The opportunity didn't change. Jennifer's skills didn't suddenly improve. What changed was her energetic readiness to receive. She cleared the block that had been preventing abundance from flowing to her. And once that block was gone, the universe could finally deliver what had been waiting for her all along. So right now, before March 16 arrives, I want you to do some honest self-examination. What beliefs do you hold about money, success, or your own worthiness that might block you from receiving? Do you believe that making a lot of money means you're greedy? Do you think you have to struggle to deserve success? Do you feel guilty about being paid well when others are struggling? Do you worry that if you become successful, people will judge you or relationships will change? These beliefs are like invisible force fields that repel abundance. The universe can send opportunities your way all day long, but if you have these blocks in place, you'll find ways to avoid them, minimize them, or sabotage them. March 16 is offering you a massive payday, but you have to be willing to receive it. And being willing means clearing whatever internal resistance you're carrying. Here's a powerful exercise you can do right now. Close your eyes and imagine that on March 16, someone offers you an opportunity that would triple your income. Really feel into that scenario. What's your immediate emotional response? Excitement or anxiety? If you feel anxiety, fear, or doubt, that's your signal that there's a block present. That's the part of you that doesn't believe you deserve it, or doesn't trust that it's real, or is afraid of what receiving it would mean. Don't judge that response. Just notice it, because awareness is the first step to clearing it. Once you see the block, you can work with it. You can ask yourself where it came from, what it's trying to protect you from, and whether it's still serving you. And then you can make a conscious choice to release it and replace it with a new belief that supports your abundance. Now let's talk about something that's going to be crucial on March 16 and in the days immediately following, when your hidden value becomes visible and opportunities start flowing. You're going to face what I call the worthiness test. This is when the universe checks whether you truly believe you deserve what you're receiving. The worthiness test shows up in subtle ways. Someone offers you a rate that's higher than you've ever charged, and you feel the urge to talk them down. A prestigious client wants to work with you, and you immediately think of all the reasons you're not qualified. An opportunity appears that would elevate your status significantly, and you feel imposter syndrome creeping in. These moments are not signs that you're not ready. They're signs that you're being stretched into a new level of receiving. And the universe is watching to see whether you'll shrink back to your old comforts, or step forward into the expansion that's being offered. I want to be very clear about something. Imposter syndrome is not a sign that you're a fraud. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're stepping into territory that's unfamiliar. Every single person who has achieved significant success has felt imposter syndrome. The difference between those who break through and those who stay stuck is not whether they feel it. It's whether they let it stop them. When the worthiness test comes on March 16, and it will come, I want you to recognize it for what it is. It's not evidence that you're not good enough. It's evidence that you're being called to a higher level. And the way you pass the test is simple. You feel the fear, acknowledge the doubt, and say yes anyway. You accept the opportunity even though part of you feels unqualified. You charge the higher rate even though it makes you uncomfortable. You step into the visibility even though it feels vulnerable. Because here's what happens when you pass the worthiness test. The universe says, okay, they're ready for more. And then it sends even bigger opportunities. But if you fail the test, if you shrink back or self-sabotage, the universe says, not yet. They need more time. And the opportunities slow down until you're ready to try again. I've seen this play out so many times. Someone gets a big break, feels unworthy, sabotaged it, and then spends years wondering why their luck ran out. But it wasn't luck. It was a test they weren't ready to pass. The good news is that the universe is patient. It will keep presenting opportunities until you're ready to receive them. But why wait? Why not decide right now that when March 16 arrives and the worthiness test appears, you're going to pass it? There's one more critical piece I need to share with you about what happens after March 16. The cosmic payday that's coming isn't just about receiving money once. It's about establishing a new baseline for your value. It's about resetting the thermostat of what you consider normal compensation for your gifts. Most people have an internal set point for how much they believe they should earn. Maybe it's 50,000 a year, or 100,000, or whatever number feels comfortable to them. And no matter what opportunities come their way, they unconsciously find ways to keep their income hovering around that set point. If they make more, they spend more or create problems that cost money. If they make less, they hustle harder to get back to that familiar number. But March 16 is offering you the chance to reset that thermostat personally when you receive the payday that's coming, and you allow yourself to fully receive it without guilt or self-sabotage. You establish a new normal. Your nervous system adjusts to operating at a higher level of abundance. And once that adjustment happens, it becomes much easier to maintain and even exceed that new baseline. This is why it's so important not just to receive the money, but to really let it in. Don't immediately spend it all to get rid of the discomfort of having more. Don't create drama or problems that drain it away. Don't minimize the significance of what you've received. Instead, pause and let yourself feel what it's like to be someone who receives this level of compensation. Let your identity expand to match your new reality. I remember when I received my first 5-figure payment for a single project. It was more money than I'd ever made in a month. And my immediate instinct was to find ways to spend it or give it away. I felt uncomfortable having that much money. It didn't match my self-image as someone who struggled financially. But I caught myself. I recognized that if I let that discomfort drive my behavior, I would reset myself back to my old baseline. So instead, I sat with the discomfort. I let myself feel what it was like to have financial breathing room. I updated my self-image to include the possibility that I could regularly earn at this level. And within 6 months, that 5-figure payment became my new normal. That's what March 16 is offering you. Not just a one-time windfall, but a permanent upgrade to your financial operating system. But you have to be willing to let the upgrade install. You have to be willing to become the version of yourself who naturally receives and maintains this level of abundance. Now, I want to address something that some of you might be feeling right now. You might be thinking, this all sounds great, but what if March 16 comes and nothing happens? What if I get my hopes up and end up disappointed again? And I understand that fear. You've been let down before. You've believed in possibilities that didn't materialize. You've worked hard without seeing results. So why should this time be different? Here's what I want you to understand. The cosmic alignment on March 16 is real. The astrological